Aloha everyone, Maverick Mike here. Ikomo mai, come on in. We have a new toy that we're going to unbox and start up today, a Craftsman Thickness Planer. Part number Charlie Mike Echo Whiskey 320. This is a 12 and 1/2 inch thickness planer with 2 blades. And I purchased this one because I was looking for an economy thickness planer because I don't plan on using it that often, and it was a toss-up between the Craftsman and the Ryobi, and I ended up purchasing the Craftsman. So we're going to unbox this thing, set it up, and check it out today. I purchased this thickness planer because I have a project to do, and I was given a bunch of old hardwood flooring. It's been under someone's house for 20 years. They tell me it's called bunky rye, but I have no idea what it really is. It does feel like a hardwood though. So I bought this thickness planer to run all that stuff through here. So let's unbox this, let's set it up, and let's test it out. So I'm going to make 2 separate videos. One just for the unboxing, setup, adjustment, and first test. And a second one for the projects that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making 2 ottomans for the house. So let's check it out. Alright, now that we have this unit out of the box, first thing I did was remove the instructions and read the entire instructions completely, cover to cover. What comes with the unit is a rather nice looking dust collection system. Has this adapter on the back, and the instructions say this is only to be used with 4-inch vacuum system, like a 4-inch vacuum hose. The instructions say not to use a regular shop vac or vacuum, as this will plug up. Seeing that I'm not going to be using a dust collection system, this is not really important to me, but if you have a shop that's indoors, it might be a lot more important to you. So I'm just going to set this on the side, and it comes with these 2 screws to hold it in place. And I'll show you on the back side when we put that together where this goes. Also comes with 3 tools, a magnetic blade removal tool used for removal and installation of the blades, an Allen wrench, and a wrench specifically for the blades. This looks like a T25 Torx on the end here. This is kind of nice. It has a Velcro system built on the back, which goes on the back side where there's a Velcro stuck under here. We'll show that to you later. Also comes with a handle. Handle, screw, and fine adjustment, which goes on top of here. So let's just look at this. It looks pretty good. It feels pretty good. It's pretty solid. The sides are metal. The in-feed out feed tables are metal, and I measured them, and they appear to be about 45 thousandths of an inch thick. They feel pretty good, and so I'm pretty happy with that. Also on the side over here, you see the ruler for measurements, both in standard and metric, which is kind of a nice touch. We have this handle on the top that also serves as a roller for long pieces of stock where you bring it back. You can roll it on top of this and then put it back through the in-feed table again. Switch, and the cutter head. All in all, I say it looks pretty good, and it feels pretty solid. View from the back side. Okay, so if you were going to use the dust collection system, it would just sit on here like this, and these thumb screws would be used to hold it in place. Looks really simple, straightforward, but like I said, I'm not going to use this on mine. So we're going to go ahead and actually take this thing apart and tune this thing up. For safety's sake, I want to make sure that all of the blades, all the screws that hold the blade down in place are secure and snug. I don't want to start this thing up and have some loose screws over there that may mess things up or damage the unit. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do first. So the instructions say to go ahead and remove this back cover. Got a couple thumb screws right here. Lift this cover off and drive this head assembly all the way up. So I'm just going to stick this on here temporarily. This handle has a D shape in it, a flat spot where it engages over here. This is up. We're going to drive this all the way up. Alright, so here's the blade holder. the 6 screws that hold it down and the blades. So all I really wanted to do is make sure that these 6 screws were tight before I turned this machine on. So let's just go ahead and double check those using the tool. Here's the tool that they supplied. Snug. Snug. That one tightened up just a little bit, and so did that one. So I'm kind of glad I checked. These last 2 were a little bit looser than these 2, which didn't move at all. These last 2 moved, so it's a good idea to go ahead and check that. Now let's rotate this. So these blades are replaceable, and they're 2-sided, so you can actually flip this blade around and reuse it. Be careful with these things as they're quite tight. All right, let's go ahead. Tight. That one snugged up a little bit right there. So I'm kind of glad that I went ahead and checked these. There was 3 in total that were just a little loose. I tightened them up a little bit, and I feel better about having done that. So let's go ahead and put this cover back on. Let's lower this, and we'll see if we can get this shield back on here. So the instructions also mention something about servicing these bushings and gears and threads in here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take off the side covers, and we're going to go ahead and follow the instructions and lube these things up. And I know it's brand new and I shouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I live in literally one of the wettest spots on earth, and iron and steel does its very best sprint to turn back into iron oxide. So what we want to do is try to maintain our stuff here for a while. I don't want to buy a tool then have to throw it away the next year because it's completely rusted away. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, to access the gears, chains, and the bushings that they're talking about needing lubrication, we're going to have to take off these side panels on each side. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I went and grabbed a screwdriver, and lo and behold, look at this thing. This is a Craftsman screwdriver I bought when I was about 17. You can see we're talking about rust here in Hawaii, but you know what? After all these years, this Craftsman screwdriver is still in my toolbox, which means it probably still works. Alright, let's take this apart. Alright, so this is what they're talking about, the gears and the chains. The threads, bushings, everything looks pretty well greased right now. I'm kind of happy with that. But since I got it open, I'm going to go ahead and grease some of the areas that I can see have not been greased. There's a little dust shield right here on the bottom. And there's no lubricant at all down in here, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. A little bit of oil on these things, don't need much. I'm going to put some down in here too. The threads are pretty well greased. These bushings here, not bad. I'm going to go ahead and oil them up a little bit. nothing else, for corrosion protection. And for the threads on the shaft, I got some CV joint grease here, a tube of this stuff, which I keep around handy for doing things like this. It's just a light grease. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we are as well defended from corrosion as we can. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on these threads. There we go. While I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and use the supplied Allen wrench and make sure that these are secure and tight on the top, these two screws here. That's good. That one was just a little bit loose, not bad at all. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Alright, here we are on the other side. I've already looped everything up the way I did on the other side. And I just wanted to point this out. Here's the drive belt right here for the cutting head. And what I did not notice in the instructions is a way to adjust the tension on that belt. So I'm not sure whether there's an adjustment or not, but it's not stated one way or the other in the manual. So, but the belt feels pretty good and pretty tight right now. So this is the set screw wrench that came with the thickness planer, and it does fit on the bolts used to remove and replace the belt. So once again, I put a little dab of grease on these bolts that hold the cover on. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the cover. Alright, let's put the elevating handle on here. The elevating handle on the bottom side is a D shape, which fits on the shaft right here. So align the D, drop it down, drop this in, drop the screw in place, and tighten it up with the supplied Allen wrench. Alright, that seems to be working fine. Okay. Alright, now we're going to lower the extension tables, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that they are level with the planer table. Just going to use a level in here. Stick it on the planer table and see how it looks. Okay, on initial inspection, they both need some adjustments. So I'll do the in-feed table first, making sure that the in-feed table is level with the table plane. So I'm just going to go ahead and lower the outfeed all the way down, and then I'll come back to that one afterwards. These are a couple of 10mm wrenches. Just undo the jam nut, loosen that up, and I'm just going to drive this bolt down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, it's still hitting, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen, there's 4 of these little screws, 1, 2, and 2 on the other side. I'm going to loosen those and then drop that table down some more. What I'm going to do is just loosen everything up a little bit, because I feel like I'm going to have to come back to it and do this anyway. Okay, that looks pretty good on this side. Make sure these screws are loose. Drive it up so it's hitting the level all the way across. Snug them up. So now that we're back here at the outfeed table, here's the tool to remove and install the knives. And there's Velcro taped onto this thing right here, and a piece of Velcro right here where this thing just sits. Nice, I think that's quite handy, as long as it doesn't fall off and I lose it. Alright, here's the tool that's used to remove the knives and replace the knives. And it has a nice little nesting spot for it right within the unit itself. This goes right here. Alright, I have a piece of lumber here that's 3/4 of an inch thick, and I'm going to go ahead and use this to calibrate the pointer. Alright, wow, it's pretty close. It's like 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to set this adjustment indicator to 0. There's a line right here. You may not be able to see it, but there's a stamped line in the top of the housing, and I'm just going to line the 0 up with it. Let's do our first test run with nothing in it. Okay, it's pretty loud. I'm definitely going to be using my hearing protection and eye protection. Yeah, it's definitely pretty loud. You're going to want to wear hearing protection on this, but looking at the wood that came out as a finished product, it's really nice and smooth. And there's a little bit of snipe just from this point on down, about 2 inches worth on this side, and looks to be about the same on the other side. It's hard to notice, but it's really nice and smooth, and I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, let's throw something else through there really quick. Alright, so this is the actual piece of rye, or one of the pieces of rye that I'm going to be using to build my project, and I'm going to run this through a couple of times and just to see how this thing ends up looking. Alright, so here it is. It's really nice and smooth. I like the way it came out. And And once again, the last 2 inches on either side has some snide to it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm a little surprised at how loud it actually is, but I know these are kind of loud to begin with. All right, bottom line, overall, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm pretty happy with the way it's operating. It's a little louder than I thought it might be. The adjustments for the in-feed, out-feed table were a little bit fussier than I thought that they would be. I think that the bolts that hold it up just kept kind of cantilevering over as I would tighten the jam nut down, and that would keep throwing things off. So if you take that into consideration when you're doing this, you'll save some time. So once again, my initial impression is that this thing is a keeper. I'm going to keep it, and maybe 6 months or a year down the road, I'll do a review of the thing. But I'm pretty happy with it right now, so new toy, fun, fun, fun. Thank you very much for joining me today. Aloha and a hui hou.